Hello and welcome, Google students and other people who are interested. This is going to be a video demonstration of what we do in class, uh, basically speaking, so that you can review it, and or if you miss class, you'll know kind of what we did in class on a particular day. So it's kind of like a pre-recorded demonstration or presentation. So in order to start this whole thing off, I'm going to go ahead and open Google Chrome, and I'm going to switch users here real quick. I'll go to a guest user so that you can see that it reacts quite differently to what we're doing. And I'm going to access a handout that you'll have a link to that has instructions that I'm going to follow, some steps that I'm going to follow as we talk about here and learn Google Drive. So I'm going to go to bit.ly/gdriveclpres. CL's for class. And here's a Google Doc. I'm going to close this little document outline. We'll learn about Google Docs as we progress through our course together. And I'll leave it around this size here on the right-hand side of the screen, essentially speaking. And this is our Google Drive class presentation. We're going to do it together. Those who are in class, we're going to try to do the same steps that I do. And we'll start reading through and doing a number of steps together. And we'll go from there. So what is Google Suite? So first we'll start talking about what is the overall Google Suite, because this is the first thing we cover in class. Google Drive is part of the Google Suite. Google Suite is a free suite of online programs that allow individuals to create and manage numerous types of files in an online cloud environment. So everything's online, everything's free. That's what's really cool about it. You don't need to install any special software or pay money to take advantage of the Google Suite. If you already have a Gmail account, you're ready to begin. Otherwise, simply open a Google account. With the wide range of Google programs, you can create masterfully formatted documents in Google Docs, awesome spreadsheets with charts and more in Google Sheets, make outstanding presentations in Google Slides, and even make questionnaires to get data in Google Forms, communicate with others through Gmail, and manage appointments with Google Calendar, and even more. So Google Suite is even larger than the apps I just mentioned, but those are the main ones we're going to cover in this class. Although today, and for this presentation, we're now focusing on Google Drive. So what is Google Drive? Google Drive is a free online file management service that allows you to store files, documents, spreadsheets, presentations, photos, videos, and any type of file. Also, you can create files that are stored online using many of Google's productivity apps, those ones I mentioned above, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Forms, etc. There's even more. The files can be accessed and edited from PC and Mac, Android, and even iOS devices. It's easy to confuse Google Drive and Google Docs. So a lot of people I talk to will say, oh, I'm going to go access my file in Google Docs. Well, Google Docs isn't where the file's saved, so we want to get it clear which app is what it does and what its purpose is. So Google Drive is the name of the online storage area, while Google Docs is the online word processing Google app to create documents. You can create a document from your Google Drive screen. It is easiest to manage, move, copy, rename, etc. the file in Google Drive. So creating a Google Drive account, I'm going to go through these steps in just a moment. In fact, I'm going to get a second, actually, now that I think about it, I can leave this here and get a second window. So I'm going to go to these three dots here, and I'm going to get a new window, and I'm going to slide it over here so that I can do two things at the same time. I want to be able to read the instructions here and follow them on this over here. So if you didn't notice what I just did, I went to the three dots. It's called the Chrome menu button, or Customize Google Chrome, whatever they like to call it, and you click it, and I did New Window. That gives me a second window. It's logged in as the same user. In this particular case, it's a guest. But I'm doing that just so I can create a new Google account to show you the steps. Act like it's brand new is how it's going to possibly react for you this first day of class or near the beginning of this course. So creating a Google Drive account, to use Google Suite, you need to have a Google account. A Google account gives you access to all of Google's free apps. If you already have a Gmail account, you already have one. I mentioned that earlier, but it's just another reminder. It's already built into Gmail. If you do not have a Gmail account, you can create a new one by going to drive.google.com. And for this class, I recommend that students create a new account. That way you can totally separate what you're up to on your own and what we're going to do in class. And then when you're ready to do it on your own stuff, you'll feel more comfortable just going at it. You won't have to worry about, oh man, am I doing something wrong and I'm going to lose something really important, this and that. That way you'll be all set and you can really differentiate. So you can have as many as you want. It's also recommended that you actually do it with a Gmail. So if you sign up new, it becomes a Gmail address. That way it works better for the sharing and everything like that. It works better. It's not mandatory. It just happens to work better for everything we're up to. So I'm going to open a new account now. I decided to name the exercises Grow Your Skills. So we're going to grow our skills, and I'm calling it 1.1 because it's the first one. Drive is the first subject we're doing. 1.1 is the first lesson. It says open the Google Chrome browser, click in the address bar, and go to drive.google.com. So I'm doing that on my opposite window on the left, and it comes up with a screen like this. And if you're prompted to use one of the existing accounts, click Add Another Account. Sometimes if you're already signed in, whatever it may be, it might give you a list of accounts. In this particular case, I'm going to click Go to Drive. And now it's going to ask me to sign in. This is where you might have had on the previous step that I just mentioned in step 3, a list of existing accounts. In this particular case, I'm going to click Create Account. It's down here, step 4. And step 5 says click For Myself. Now I'm just going to fill in their basic form. So I'm going to make up a pretend one that I can use here with classes and stuff like that. So I actually name it kind of after the company. I'm going to put in Berkeley, and I'm going to put adult school. And I'm going to make up an address. Okay, and I'm going to give it a password. I do this also just to have them for students in some of my other classes that don't have email and we want to learn, but we don't have time to create accounts. So I'm going to click Next. Oh, that one's already taken. Good to know. I've already done it before. Oh, that one's already taken. So that one's not. So now, wants to make sure it's really used, so I need to put in my cell phone number. This is very handy, and that's what's also here in the steps. It says answer, step 7, answer the questions on the form, verify your phone number, and click Send. So I have to put in my phone number first. Actually, let me put in this one. Yeah, I'll do this. It's easier to remember. And they're sending me a code now. I should be getting a text. Let me check it so I can put the code in. So the reason they want your phone number is very actually useful, and I recommend doing it. If you ever forget your password, it's your easiest way back in. Okay, so do offer your phone number. If you have a recovery email address, you can use it. That way they can also send you a message to your email if you ever. And here where it asks for your date of birth and all that kind of stuff, I personally don't like to put in my real one unless I know the site that I'm at. So I always put in a fake one, and I always use a standard pattern myself. I always use the pattern of January 1st, 1970. They always want to make sure that you're over 18 is the big thing. Then you choose your gender. I do next. This one here is a new question that they're asking. You can add your phone number to your account for use across other Google services. For now, I'm just going to say skip, especially this particular account that's not really my own personal one. Privacy and terms, you have to scroll down to eventually click I agree, which according to my steps is step 11 over there. And finally, you're now in what's called your Google Drive. Okay, so that's how you make an account, a Google account. You're ready. It technically connects to Gmail and all that kind of stuff right now. So accessing Google Drive. Once you have a Google Drive account, you go to drive.google.com. So I like people to go straight there. But if you are on a Google page, such as google.com or this Drive page, you do have what's called the Google Apps icon that you can always click and get to the different apps. Keep in mind that the apps, there's a couple of pages of them. The apps can also be dragged in different order. So if I point here, I can drag this one up here if I want. Maybe I use Docs a lot, so I can drag Docs over there. I can drag Sheets over here. Now, I may not have put that in the instructions over here anywhere, but I just wanted to point that out, that that is customizable. So to get into Drive, it's drive.google.com is the web address that goes up here. or you can use one of the Google Apps launchers here. Grow Your Skills 1.2, sign into Drive. Click in the address bar, go to drive.google.com, press enter, sign in if needed. Now I put that there in case somebody already had their own account and didn't want to open a new one. So really this exercise is not all that necessary, but what does come useful now is this page here, the Google Drive screen. The Google Drive screen is basically, in my opinion, divided into three major areas. The left panel, the center panel, and the right panel. So the left panel is this area over here, which are the folders where files might be. This is at the address bar and toolbar will be up here, but this is a list of anything that's in the folder that you're looking in right now. And then a third panel comes up sometimes if you click this letter I in a circle, view details. That's the right panel, I call it. So I'm going to close that real quick. We come back to that a little bit later in the lesson. I'm not going to read every single thing that's here, but the Google Drive screen has those three regions, which I just went over. Your drive comes with these folders down the left. Those are automatic, but you're going to learn to make your own, which makes you more organized and better control of where your files are being saved. So I highly recommend you kind of get comfortable with how to make folders and get comfortable with the idea of putting those groups of files that relate to each other in one singular spot. I think that's a lot of power in that. But My Drive, as described here, that's where everything is that you own. Basically speaking, although you can now make shortcuts to other things that are not always your own, that show in My Drive, but they're not actually yours. So that's the main area where most of your stuff generally is. It's very similar to like an inbox of email. Shared with me is anything that somebody has shared directly to you via your email address. So we're going to get to that as we do more sharing at the end of this exercise and every other exercise we do for most of this class related to the Google Apps you'll be sharing. So you'll share directly to me. Recent are the things that you've worked on chronologically, most recent to older. Starred is anything that you've marked as something important. You put a little star on it. Trash is where anything is that you decided that you don't want anymore. They don't physically empty your trash as far as I know. Unlike email where they empty it every 30 days, if you decide to put in the trash, you can certainly recover it. And we have a little exercise in that coming a little bit later on. So that's all on the left panel. The center panel, you have your search box, the address bar, which is here, you'll learn more about, a views button and a details button. And down here would be any files or folders that you have created. The right panel is this letter I. I'm going to have you click it in a couple of minutes according to these steps just to take a quick peek. And it gives you recent activity as well as details about whatever is highlighted. Something usually has to be highlighted in order to make that have a little bit more usefulness to you. So I'm going to go on now to Grow Your Skills 1.3, navigate the built-in folders and show details. So if necessary, open Google Chrome and sign into Google Drive. Because I don't know when somebody's starting this, if they're reviewing whatever, I'm going to put that step in quite often. Since I'm already in it, nothing to do. Step 2 says click My Drive on the left. So at any point in time, you can just click My Drive on the left as if you want to get back to your starting point. Think of that as home base. Every time I get into Drive, my home base is called My Drive. Easiest way to get there. Step number 3, click Shared with Me on the left. Obviously, nothing's been shared to you yet, but I just want experience, but I also want you to notice up here, it's changing to show where you are and what's in there. Nothing's in there. And it tells you, say goodbye to old email attachments and say hello to real-time collaboration. That's the real magic, the joy of using this whole Google Apps suite, which I love so much. Recent, find everything in Google Drive you've recently opened or edited. Starred, no starred files or folders. Add stars to things that you want to find later. Trash, of course. No files or folders in trash. Move files you don't need anymore to the trash. Click Empty Trash from the trash menu to permanently delete the items. So they don't go delete it for you. And down here a little further tells you how much you're using against your storage. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but hint, hint, what's really cool is any Google created files, Google file formats don't count for anything. They count as 0. So it's magic. Step number 8 says click any file in your drive if you have one. New accounts don't have any. So I'm going to go back to My Drive because that's what step 7 said to do. I don't have any files in here. So when we get files, it really doesn't matter. But step 9 says click the details button. If a file or something is highlighted, it would show details or activity here, if you click the activity area, about that item that is highlighted. Since we have nothing highlighted, of course, it doesn't show anything. Step 10 says close the details by clicking the details button or the close button. So you could click this I again or the X again to close it. Okay, we're going to go on to creating folders now. Creating folders is a great way to organize your files. Folders are containers for files and folders that relate to similar topics. So folders can not only contain files, they can also contain other folders. I'm a really uber folder person. I have tons of folders and I go really deep in. So I think macro down to micro. So a folder can have another folder in it as well as files. And you can keep having as many folders inside of folders as you want. It's endless. There's no limit. It's how organized you decide to be. So be as organized as you like to be. Okay. So thus a folder can contain files and folders. You can create and upload files and folders into any folder on your drive. So upload is the idea of taking existing files already on your computer, flash drive, CD-ROM, whatever, and adding them to your drive system. That's called uploading. Okay. And you can upload them into any one of your folders. So we're going to do an exercise in that in a little bit. Let me go on to a tiny bit more reading. My drive is considered the main folder. To create a folder, you use the New button or right-click in the center panel. After choosing New Folder, name the folder and click Create. So I always try to give you more than one way to do it, but the most popular way is the New button here. Another popular way is right-clicking if you like to right-click. So Grow Your Skills 1.4, we're going to create some folders. Step number 1 says, if necessary, make sure you're in your drive. I'm obviously already there. Step 2 says, click New here on the left, and then click Folder. Now, step 4 says, name the folder Google Suite Class. Step 5 says, click Create. Give it a moment or two. Here's my new folder I just made. A little container to hold things, to be organized. So everything we do as a part of this class, everything we should do as a part of this class should be done in this Google Suite folder, just to keep it succinct and organized. Now, step number 6 says, double-click to open the Google Suite class folder. So you'll notice that clicking on it once will not open it. If I double-click it, it's now open. Notice how my address bar has adjusted. It says I'm in my Google Suite class. My drive, the Google Suite class is inside of my drive, in other words. So now we're going to make some more folders. Step 7, click New, click Folder. And I'm going to go ahead and do step 9, type Handouts. And then I'm going to click Create. So Handouts is a folder inside of the Google Suite class folder, if you understand that. Step 11 says repeats steps 7 through 10 to create 4 new folders: Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Forms. So I'm going to repeat those steps. I'm going to click New. I'm going to click Folder. The first one should be named Docs. Then I click Create. I'm going to repeat steps 7 through 10 again. New folder, but this time name it Sheets. 2 more times. New folder Slides. Then new folder Forms. And instead of clicking Create, you can always press Enter if you want. Now I have the 5 folders that we would like to have. Okay? So we're going to go now into adding files. There's 2 major ways to add files to Google Drive. They're uploading existing files from your computer and creating files with Google Apps such as Docs, Sheets, Slides, Drawings, and Forms. Files in Google Docs Suite format do not account against your storage space and can be easily opened, edited, and such online with the Google Suite apps. Thus, you can have thousands of Google Apps files that take up 0 storage space. So 1,000 Google Docs takes 0 of your storage. Has to be a Google Doc, not a Microsoft Word file, not a PDF, not an image. If you make a Google Doc and put images in it, it still counts as 0. It's magic. That's the whole cool part about it. I also mentioned the idea here that the secondary way to do it is uploading. So, or the main way is two main ways, uploading or creating Google files. If you already have files on your computer, flash drive, etc., you can upload, copy them to your Google Drive. When you upload files, you are sending copies of the files to Google Drive. Thus, the original files remain in the location on your computer. Just like when you attach a file to an email message. So it's the same as email. You've probably emailed attachments before. You've noticed the file you attach is still where you attached it from. Same idea here. It's basically just making a copy for you. So good stuff. So my motto when you're about to upload a file is, so preferably make sure you're in the folder where you want to store them before you upload any file. My motto has always been, where you are is where it happens. So whatever folder I'm in right now, if I upload, that's where it lands. If that's not where I want it, I can always move it. So that's not a big deal. And that's what I mentioned here, if you make a mistake or forget to do that. You can upload any type of file ranging from documents to videos. They can be relatively large as long as they don't exceed your storage space. And they do give you, as you can see on the left, 15 gigabytes for free, which is a lot. Most of the online companies that are free give you about 5 gigabytes. So they're about triple what most companies give for free. You can upload them to any folder. You can also upload folders that contain files in other folders. So you can also do folder uploading, we call it, which means whatever's in that entire folder, the folder in itself come up as copies, of course. And you have the option to convert the files automatically to the Google Docs Suite format if you want. Not commonly recommended anymore, especially as you'll learn as we go on. Microsoft Word files can now be edited and stay in Microsoft Word format. In the past, they couldn't. So Grow Your Skills 1.5. Upload files to your drive. So make sure you've completed Grow Your Skills 1.4. If not, please go back. So I want everybody to have these folders because we're going to purposefully be using these folders for this course. Everything we do is going to be housed in these folders or managed through these folders. So I want to make sure people download files that they can use to do this so that we have the same files to work with. So you're going to download the Google Suite files for upload and copy them to your documents folder. If you need download instructions, I have a little handout here. So if I click this and then open this, here's actual instructions of how to do it. I'm going to close that little panel. So here is the same link. They download to your downloads folder. Then you have to open the zip file and copy it over to your documents. So I'm going to go back to the major instructions here. I'm going to click this. I'm going to click this. Now to download, I go to this arrow in the upper right. I click it once. It's downloading. It's a tiny bit slow. Not sure why. There we go. Now it's downloading to here. See that? Now most people get very tempted to just click here and go, but that's not what I want folks to do. So in the instructions that I have on this one, I tell people in step 3, access your downloads folder on your computer. On a Windows machine, you click the yellow here, and then you can click downloads on the left. Here's the Google Suite files for uploading. I'm going to double click it. And it's this folder you want to copy into your documents folder. So all you have to do, and according to my instructions, is I tell you, you drag this from here to my documents folder. Make sure it says copy to documents. Let go. And you can see my status of that just changed. And if you want to confirm, if I click documents, Google Suite files is right here. So it worked just fine. I've downloaded everything I need to download. So I can close this window. I'm going to go back to the major instructions. So if you get a little bit stuck with that, I'll be helping you in class together. You can always email me, whatever it may be. Now I just want to make sure everybody gets to the right spot. So step 3 here is kind of useless, but I'm not sure exactly where people are in their drive. So I have everybody click My Drive on the left. Step 4 says double click the Google Suite class folder to open it. So remember, where you are is where it's going to happen. Now I'm on step number 5. Click New and come to File Upload. Be careful. Read them carefully, please. I have a lot of students who rush. Okay. Now step number 7 in the dialog box, click Documents on the left. Now remember, we did that on purpose. Double-click the Google Suite Files folder. And double-click, or actually click on the step 8, click the Google Suite syllabus file, and then you can click Open. You can also double-click the file here, and it would come right up. So I'm going to click Open. So there we've just added a file. And this happens to be a PDF file. So yes, as you can see on the left, it's counting a little bit against my storage. Just so you know, they're talking KB here. It takes 1000 MB to make 1 GB. It takes 1000 KB to make 1 MB. So we're using nothing. This file's tiny. So don't worry about it. But you also see a confirmation of the upload here. If you want to, you can close it. You can shrink it down, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Now we're going to upload more files, but to the Docs folder. So step 10, double-click the Docs folder. Step 11, click New. Step 12, File Upload. Step 13, see, it remembers where you uploaded from last time. If not, you have to go Documents again, Google Suite Files. Double-click the Data Files folder. That's step 13. Step 14, double-click the Docs folder. Now, step 15, select all the files with Control-A on a Windows machine or Command-A on a Mac. So they're all highlighted in blue, and now I'm going to click Open. These are a bunch of Microsoft Word files. It's intentional because I want to teach you how it works with some of the files you may already have on your machine. Okay. Step number 17. In the address bar, where it says My Drive Google Suite Class, click Google Suite Class. So I'm going to click here to go back to the Google Suite Class folder. Isn't that awesome navigation right there? You don't have to go back to My Drive here. You don't use the back button of the browser. You can just go back folders by using your breadcrumbs, some people call it, or address bar pathway. Double-click step 18, double-click the Sheets folder. Step 19, go to New, File Upload. Step 21, in the address bar of the window, click Data Files. So similar to what I just did in my Google Drive screen, I'm going to click Data Files up here. Now, if you don't see it, you might have a back button here, you might have an up arrow here that could help, or you can always click Documents, double-click Google Suite Files, double-click Data Files. But I'm going to click Data Files here. Step 22 is to double-click the Sheets folder. And step 23, we're going to select them all again with Control-A. Don't worry about the ones that say copy and stuff because we can always delete them to practice deleting. Then we can click Open, step 24. They're on their way. Here's your status. And they come up relatively quick when they're finally done. Okay. Step number 25. Now we're going to upload more files, but to the Slides folder. So in the address bar of Google Drive, click Google Suite Class again. So up here, go back to Google Suite Class. Step 26, double-click the Slides folder. Freshness. Oh, it's empty. Not surprising. Step 27, click New, File Upload. Step 29, in the address bar of the window, click Data Files. Step 30, double-click the Slides folder. Step 31, Control-A to highlight everything. Now you're going to notice there's a folder highlighted, but you'll notice when I click Open, which is step 32, the folder won't come. It ignores it because it realizes it's not a file and we chose File Upload. So don't worry about it. I knew that that was going to happen and it's okay. I'm going to close the status here. Now we're going to upload a folder. I put a note here, uploading a folder is the same as files. The only difference is a folder can have other folders as well as files. We will now upload a folder. In the address bar, go to Google Suite Class again. Step 34, double-click the Handouts folder. But this time, click New, Folder Upload. So step 36 is Folder Upload. Okay. In the address bar of the window, click Data Files again. Step number 38. Oh, I'm sorry, Google Suite Files. I did that incorrectly. It says Google Suite Files, but I said Data Files from the previous steps. Step 38, click the Handouts folder. Double-click it. And click on the Gmail folder. So click Gmail, and then click Upload. And then I have to click Upload again. And they're there. So it says try to upload the handout files into the Handouts folder now. So what step have we been doing to do any type of uploading? Well, where we are is where it happens. We want to be in Handouts. We click New, File Upload. We're in the Handouts folder now. We just need to select all these. Control A. And then click Open. And they're all in. At least they're on their way, that is. So yeah, depends on your internet speed. Mine's relatively quick, so they come up pretty quick. Okay, so creating Google Files. You can create Google Files from Google Drive by clicking the New button and choosing the app, Docs, Sheets, Slides, etc. you want to use to create the file. After you click the name of the app will load in a new tab. After the app opens, you can create the file. Be sure to name the file in the upper left portion of the screen. An advantage of creating files while starting. The advantage of creating files while starting in Google Drive is that you can control where the file is stored before opening the app. To do this, simply navigate to the folder where you want it to be stored before you click the New button. So where you are is where it happens. We're going to learn more about each of these apps. I just want you to learn real quick how to get a file that's already in a Google format. So, step number 1 says navigate to your Docs folder. So click My Drive on the left. Now we could have done it differently, but once again, I'm not sure if somebody's rejoining this lesson late, they're catching up, they're reviewing. I just kind of want to remind them how to start from the beginning. Then we're going to double click the Google Suite class folder. This is still part of step number 1. We'll double click the Docs folder. Reminder, there's a few files in here. If not, don't worry about it for now. We'll try to help out at some point. Step number 2, click New, and then click Google Docs. Here's what I was talking about. The app opens on another tab over here ready for me to do things. This is a document creation program, so it's meant for basically typing things like flyers and stuff. So what we're going to do is do the typing that's here in step number 4, where I'm going to type first document. And of course, as you work in these apps for the first time, sometimes you'll see little tips like that, or if they've updated anything, they'll give you little tips. So I'm typing what you see in step 4. I typed first document. I used my enter key twice. Now I no longer need my enter key. I'm just typing exactly what is in that little box, and it may line up a little bit differently. It's okay if it does. I'm not the fastest typist in the world, but that's okay. Especially when I'm transcribing. Okay, so I've done all my typing, and now normally what you do in an app like this is you'd have to go save it. But as I had you actually type, it says the document will automatically save to my Google Drive. You'll notice up here, last edit was seconds ago. It's constantly saving for me automatically. But importantly, we need to name it. So that's where step 5 in the instructions here comes into play. Name the file. Click in the upper left where it says Untitled Document, so up here. Notice how it suggested the first wording that was already typed in, first document. Step 6 says accept the proposed name, first document, by clicking back in the document somewhere. So I just click down here wherever I feel like it, and now it's named first document. It also shows up here on the tab, which is really, really awesome. Step 7 says close the tab when complete. You should return to the Google Drive screen, and the first document file should be in the list of files. So I'm going to close this. And here's the first document file right here. Now, if you don't see it, you might need to scroll, whatever it may be, but they're alphabetical. So now we're going to create another file, but in the Sheets folder. So in the step 8, in the address bar, here, click Google Suite Class. Step 9, double-click Sheets. Step 10, click New, and click Google Sheets. Step 12 is coming up. Type First Spreadsheet and press Enter or Return. And then type, we're just going to type, it's not the best use of this app, but I'm just showing you a different app and what they're good for. So Google Sheets is good for tracking data, working with numbers, and making calculations. And then press Enter. So I'm not going to even really have you set up a sheet right now. We are going to use the Google Sheets app at some time and really set up a sheet, make charts and all that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to get you into a different app to feel. It's basically the same feeling. I go to New, click the name of the app. It comes up on another tab. How do I name the file? That's coming up here in step number 14. Click the file name. We're going to name the file. Click in the upper left where it says Untitled Spreadsheet. This particular app doesn't self-suggest. So I want you, according to step 15, to type First Spreadsheet. And then in this case, you can either press Enter or click it back down somewhere in the spreadsheet. You'll notice it's quite different because it's a grid. You click and you have this active cell. We'll talk more about that when you do Google Sheets. Now, step 16 is to close this tab. So I'm going to close it. That brings me back to the other tab that was open, which is my drive. And I'm now going to create another file, but in Slides folder. So step 17, in the address bar of Google Drive here, click Google Suite Class. 18, double-click the Slides folder. Step 19, click New, and then click Google Slides. You'll see it's a different looking app. It's a presentation app. And it has these little boxes you type in on slides, we call it. So step number 21 says click in the box that says click to add title and type First Presentation. Whoops. Did that backwards, so I might as well fix it. And then step 23, click in the add subtitle box and type this is, and then you're going to put in your name. First Google Slides presentation. No enter, anything needed. Step number 25, we're going to name it. So what's been the pattern? We click in the upper left where it says Untitled whatever, in this case presentation. This app self-suggests first presentation, first presentation. Click back here on the slide. And then basically 27 is to close this tab. We can go ahead and close it. And that brings us back out here, and here's our first presentation. The Google Drive toolbar. Once you click a file or folder, a toolbar will appear just above the file list in the top portion of the screen, that middle central center area I kind of mentioned before. The toolbar offers you choices including getting a link, sharing options, previewing, deleting. There's a More Options button that includes open with, move to, starring the file, renaming it, getting details, making a copy, in other words like a save as, and to even download it into other formats. You also get a lot of the same stuff. This is the bold wording. You can get the same options as the toolbar if you right-click a file or a folder. Okay. To the right of the More button is a View icon to switch to Grid View or switch to List View, and the Details button. You can preview a document before opening it by clicking the Preview button or double-clicking it. While in Preview, a toolbar appears at the top. Generally, you have the following options: open it, print it, download it, more actions, which include things like zoom in, view some details, and close the preview. So we're on Grow Your Skills 1.7. We're rolling right along. We're doing great. Navigate to your drive by clicking My Drive on the left. Once again, I don't know when everybody's joining this lesson. If they're doing it on their own, I always want people to get used to that start point of My Drive, get used to what we're doing for class, which is our Google Suite classes where everything should be. So step number 2, single click the Google Suite class folder. So I click on it one time. Step 3 says point to the buttons on the toolbar. So here's my toolbar. I got a shareable link. I have a share button here, a trash can, and then my more button. And here's the view icon and the details. Those are not really on the toolbar, but the more actions, there's the rest of my tools. Okay. I'm not going to rest on all of them because here they actually say what they are. Okay. Which step 4 was to click the more actions button. Step 5 is to go to change color and choose any color you want for your Google Suite class folder. I think in this case, I'm going to choose this cool looking purple. Nice. Purplish pink. Freshness. Step 6 says double click the Google Suite class folder. Step 7, click on the Docs folder. Step 8, click the More Actions button. Go to Change Color as step 9 and choose a color that you want. I'm going to do blue. Step number 10 says repeat 7 through 9 to color the other folders, the handout sheets, etc. So I'm going to go here to Forms, 3 dots, change color, go to purple. I'm going to go to Handouts, 3 dots, change color. Let me get this weird brownish one. Sheets, click the 3 dots, change color. And then Slides, go up, 3 dots, change color. And there you go. Step 11, now we're going to preview a file in the Docs folder. Step 11, double-click your Docs folder. Step number 12, click on the Energy file. Don't worry that it says .docx, it's just the main name is Energy. Click the Preview button on the toolbar. So notice the Preview button here has an eyeball on it. Click it. If you don't see it, you can go to More Actions to find it. Now you always know you're in a preview because you got this black going around everything. And it's got this special toolbar up here at the top. Okay. It says step 14, close the preview by clicking the back button near the file name. So you'll notice my toolbar went away, but when I go here, it fades back in. We want this back button here. Okay. Now we'll delete and restore a file from the Docs folder. So step 15, click the India Tips file. Okay. And then step 16, click the Remove button on the toolbar. Remove. So you even get a confirmation down here. Unfortunately, my picture was blocking it, but it says removed one file. I can always undo it. Step 17, we're now going to try to bring the file back. Click Trash on the left. Oh, there it is. It's in the trash. And see how it says trash, and this is what's in it. Step 18, click the India Tips file. Step 19, once again, it has a toolbar. I'm going to click this Restore button on the toolbar. Notice there's not very many commands when you're in the trash. That's for sure. So I click it, and then it's back where it was. Okay. So now we're going to learn to change views and turn the details pane on and off. Step 20, click My Drive on the left. 21, double-click the Google Suite class folder. Step 22, double-click the Slides folder. Okay. Step number 23, click the Switch to Grid View button. That's this one here, or List View, whichever one it is. Click it once. I'm in List View. This is Alfred's preference. I prefer List View. Step 24, click the same button again to switch it to Grid View. Okay. And then I put in step 24, choose the view you prefer to use. So I'm going to go back to List View because I much prefer it myself because it gives me when it was modified last and who owns the file. I don't always need to look at the pictures to know what they are. So step 25 says click on the first presentation file in the slides folder. So I click on this file named first presentation. Not the first one in list, fortunately it is, but first presentation is the name of the file. Step 26, click the details button to turn details on. It's this eye in the circle. Now you have details about this. Okay. Step 27, click activity or details to get more information. So if you click activity, it tells you created an item first presentation. No recorded activity before today. Okay. Step 28 says click the details button to turn details off, or if you want to leave the details pane open, go ahead. I usually don't leave it open because it cuts into a lot of space. I open it usually when I need it. So I'm going to close it here. Submitting your work with screenshots. So now we need to learn how to submit work to me if you want to show me. Now normally the students doing this in class don't normally need to have to submit it to me. Normally the students who are working in the Canvas course not attending all the sessions that we do together, need to submit the work. So I want to show you a demonstration of how to do it, as well as to help anybody who is going to want to turn it in anyways, because I encourage all of you to be involved with the Canvas course, even if you feel that it's a little bit weird or tricky. I love it because that way we can submit work and it seems very official that you're kind of really running a class and you're getting your parts out of it, and I could submit feedback back, which I think helps you with your learning. So to submit your work, we're going to need to take some screenshots. So to submit your work, you need to take screenshots for each of the following folders: My Drive, Google Class folder, or it's actually the Google Suite class folder, the Data Files folder, the Doc, Sheets, Slides, and Handouts folders. To take a screenshot in Windows, you can just press Print Screen while viewing your Google Drive screen or use the snipping tool. On Mac, you can hold Command or plus Control plus Shift and then press the number 3. Now, if you do Control, it's putting in the clipboard on the Mac. That's the point, is you want to put all these screenshots into one file that you'll end up uploading to the Canvas course in a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to start taking these screenshots. So the first one says to do it in My Drive. So here's My Drive. I'm just going to press Print Screen on my keyboard. Now, I know some of you on a laptop might not have a Print Screen button, so it gets a little bit harder. So I'm going to do Print Screen. It just took a picture of my screen, and I'm going to say no thanks to this. Now I need to open an app where I could paste it. So here, I'm asking you to save the file with the name Google Drive, creating folders and adding files to your documents. So you're going to paste them in Word or some other app, WordPad, TextEdit, something like that. So I'm going to open up Microsoft Word. I have clicking Start in the bottom left. I just happen to have Word. It's down here in the W's. Okay. I'm going to click Blank Document. And now I'm ready to paste. I can click Paste up here. I can also do Control V. After you paste, it's a good idea if you just press your Enter key to be ready for the next screenshot. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my Google Drive screen. I'm going to now go into my Google Suite class folder. I'm going to do my print screen again. I'm going to go back to Word, and I'm going to paste. I'm going to press Enter. I'm going to go grab the next screen. So I go to my taskbar down here. I need to go into my Docs folder, take my screenshot, go back to Word, and I'm blinking where I need to be so I can paste. I'm going to press Enter to be ready for the next one. Go here, back to here. Now to get to my other folders, remember you use your address bar. Go back to my Google Suite class, go into Forms. Don't really need a screenshot of this, but it's okay. I'll do it anyways. I pasted with the clipboard, Control V instead. Go here, I'm going to repeat the process, Google Suite class, go into Handouts, take a screenshot, paste it. Once again, a couple more folders here and I'm almost done. And you might be asking, why can't you share? Well, I could have you share, but I also just want to see it picture-wise. Sharing could be used to share your folder to me, but I really don't need privilege. I just really want to know that you created the correct folders and everything. So I have one more folder to do here, slides. Go here, go ahead and paste it. Now I need to save this file in Microsoft Word. So File, Save. I'm going to put in my Documents folder. So I'm going to do this PC. Actually, Browse is easier, but it's already looking in my Documents folder. I'll do Browse because I have a newer version of Office you might not be used to. It's already in my Documents folder, and this was supposed to be Google Drive, adding files. Let me remind myself of the name of it. It's creating folders and adding files. So, creating folders and adding files. I'm just going to leave it in my Documents folder here, and I'm going to click Save. So this file is ready to be sent to my Canvas course, which is what I can do next. I will close out Word for now. Great, so now that we've taken all the screenshots, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get ourselves to step 31, where we're going to go to the Canvas course and try to upload it. So I'm going to, in this web browser that I'm in, I'm going to get a new tab. That's a handy thing to do when you don't want to leave your drive and all that. And I'm going to go to the Canvas website, which is canvas.instructure.com. I've been signed into it recently, so I'm signed in now. You click the course that you're enrolled in, Google Suite. You go to assignments on the left, or you can go to modules. I kind of like modules because it's broken down by topic. So I'm going to go to modules. Although you can do assignments, it's listed the same way. If you do go to assignments and it's not listed kind of erratically this way, that's because it's show by date. Click show by type. Then it's organized by what topic we're doing. And this is the exercise, creating folders and adding files. So I click this. Takes a second or two. I can click Submit Assignment. And I can go here to Submit Assignment. Oh, I'm sorry, choose File. Go to my Documents folder. Get to my Google Drive, creating files and adding. Click Open. Once the file gets listed here, I can click Submit Assignment. And now it even gives you congratulations, you've actually done it. So I'm going to just keep Canvas open there on that tab by going to my Google Drive tab here. Start to recognize the icons will really help you. I'm going to go on now to working with non-Google files. Google files are files that are created in one of the Google apps, Docs, Sheets, Slides, etc. So you've already made 3 of those. Files that you upload are not Google files. So anything that's technically uploaded is not a Google file. Google files cannot be uploaded. They can be shared. They can't even be downloaded. They get downloaded into a totally different format. So you have to get used to that idea. A Google file is just an online file that stays online. That's the whole magic of it. So when you double click a non-Google file, it opens in a preview. We've already seen that before a little bit because I had you double click the energy file, for example. Okay, so we're going to try some steps here. Grow Your Skills 1.8, working with non-Google files. It says navigate to your Docs folder by clicking My Drive on the left, double-clicking the Google Suite class, double-click Docs. Sometimes that's faster and easier than trying to use the address bar. Also, like I said, I don't know when somebody's coming into this exercise. Step number 2 says double-click the groundwater file. And remember, your view in there may look a little different based upon what we did in one of the last exercises. It says in the preview, click Open with Google Docs. So up here at the top, it gives you options to open it. So I click that. Remember, it opens on another tab. And what's magical here is step 4. It says Google Docs opens in a new tab. Notice the .doc box next to the file extension, to the file name in the upper left corner, which means it's a Microsoft Word file. So here you get a tour because it's the first time this account has done Office editing. I can take a tour. It says it shows the file extension. This indicates you are viewing a file in that Office format. Happens to be Word. You can convert it to a Google Doc if you want. Now you can save documents to Google Docs format by selecting Save as Google Docs from the File menu. I have you do that a little later. Then you can do Next, and you can manage versions, and I'm going to click Done. So as long as you see this file extension here, it's keeping it in Microsoft Word format. That's what's really magical here. So if somebody you know sent you an attachment, you're like, oh man, I don't have Word on my machine, but I need to make a couple of changes, open it in Google Docs and make the changes. And then it keeps it in Word format for them. That's what's really magically cool about it. So step number 4 asks me to make a couple of changes. Highlight the text protecting our groundwater, so basically this title. And click the bold button, so that's up here on the toolbar, and change the size from 12 to 18. Just a couple of quick small changes. Okay. Now it says close the tab to return to your Google Drive. Close the preview by clicking back near the file name. Okay. So close that there. Okay, so now we'll save a copy of one of those into Google format. And for those who are interested, I didn't put instructions in here to do that, but if you do double click the groundwater doc now, you'll notice it shows the formatting change you just did. Isn't that really cool? And it keeps it in Word format. That's what this W means versus this icon. Step number 6, double click the energy file. Step 7, click Open with Google Docs. Once again, it's going to have the .docx extension saying it's still a Word format, but we want to make it now a Google Doc. Okay, I'm going to close their suggestion here. Step number 9, click File, or step 8 actually says that, click File, Save as Google Docs. So now this one here that says energy.docx, that's still the Word one. This one here is the actual real Google Doc one. Okay. It says the Google Docs version of the energy file opens in a new tab. Close the tab to return to the Word version. And then close the tab with the Word version. Now I'm going to go back to my Docs tab here because I left the Canvas one. And then close this preview, obviously. And you'll notice 2 energy files, one with the .docx meaning Word, one without meaning a Google formatted file. Just real quick here, Google Drive keyboard shortcuts. Some computer users like doing shortcut keys instead, so some people even know for Google Chrome, like to get a new tab, they know that's Control-T or something. To get a new window, they know is Control-N. I'm not big on shortcut keys in Chrome, but I use them quite a bit in Word and things like that. I even use them some in Google Docs. I don't use Word as much anymore, but the similar ones apply to Google Docs. So if you want to see a list of shortcut keys, make sure you're in your drive. It could be any folder. Hold down the Control key and press the \. And it gives you a list of all the different shortcut keys. Every single shortcut key that exists for Google Drive. Isn't that really cool? So some of you might like to do some of these if you like go-to type commands, if you want create type commands, if you want to create a folder, it's Shift-F. Never knew that myself, but hey, it is what it is. So those are shortcut keys if anybody likes to do that. Now we're going to do moving, copying, renaming, and deleting files and folders. So now we're getting to the management side of things, managing all those files that we now have in here. So it's important to manage all the files and folders as you would on your computer. This will make it easier to find and use the items that you want to use. You can freely move, copy, delete, and rename files as well as folders. Moving files and folders. Moving files folders means you're moving a file folder from one folder location in your drive and putting it in a different location. The original file folder is being moved. The main methods to move an item are dragging, the toolbar, or right-clicking. When you use the toolbar and right-click methods, you click the Move To command and a box will appear. You can use Shift or Control keys to select more than one file at a time. Okay, so steps here, grow your skills. 1.10. Move a file from one folder to another. If necessary, log into your drive and make sure you're in the My Drive folder by clicking it on the left. So I'm going to click My Drive. I'm already signed in. You'll also notice it's now created what's called a quick access bar for me. These are things that you've accessed recently and made some changes on, stuff of that nature. Step number 2, double-click your Google Suite class folder. Step 3 says point to the Google Suite syllabus file and drag, hold down the mouse button, to the list of folders on the left. And point to My Drive and release the mouse button is step 4. So in other words, drag this file, Google Suite class, from here to My Drive and let go. It moved it from the Google Suite class folder to the My Drive folder. Step 5 says click My Drive. Notice the file is here now. See that? So that's one way to move, is dragging. It's not my favorite sometimes, especially if you're going a lot of folders in. That could be really kind of tricky. But we're now going to move the file back. If necessary, click the arrow next to the My Drive folder. So I didn't get to that earlier, but there's an arrow here. If you click it, shows what's under it. If I click the arrow next to Google Suite class, similar idea. It expands to show you all the folders. Okay. Step number 7 is point to the Google Suite syllabus file. It's in the list here in the middle center section. Drag it, step 8, to the Google Suite class folder here. Or you could technically go up here. Either way works. You can do it to the side, or you can go up one here. Okay. Step 9, double-click the Google Suite class folder. Double-click the Docs folder. Click on the groundwater file. On the toolbar, do More Actions. That's the 3 dots. Or you can right-click the groundwater file. Choose Move To is step 12. Step 13 in the box that opens here, you have to remember your navigation. I'm in the Docs folder, it tells me. If I go back, I'm in the Google Suite class folder now. Okay? And then I'm going to click the back arrow again according to step number 14, so it says My Drive at the top. Okay? And then click Move here. We're going to move it back in a moment here, doing steps 16 on. Step 16 says click My Drive on the left. You'll notice the groundwater file. Okay? Now, step 17, click the groundwater file. Step 18 on the toolbar, click More Actions, or right-click the file and choose Move To. Step 19 in the box that opens, double-click Google Suite class, double-click Docs, click Move here. Now you put it back where it needed to go. So you can also do it the dragging way if you prefer the dragging way. I'm just not as big a fan of it. I find that people oftentimes drop it in the wrong folder and then they have to figure out how to move it around again. To me, the Move To command tends to be a little more accurate because you can choose exactly where to put it. Okay, copying files now. There's many instances when you want to make an exact duplicate of a file. It can be useful when you have created a file and it can be used again as an additional file with just a few changes. A resume is a good example of that. Maybe a recipe format. Maybe you're making a chicken recipe and there's another chicken recipe you're doing that's very similar, a lot of similar steps, but you don't feel like recreating the whole formatting of everything. So that's when you choose Make a Copy. So the Make a Copy feature is the same as Save As in most of your traditional software programs. After choosing Make a Copy, the Google Drive makes a copy of the file with the words copy of before whatever the file name is. Okay? And you can rename the file from the toolbar or by right-clicking. So we're going to do that now. Step 1 of Grow Your Skills 1.11. Make sure you're in your drive and click My Drive on the left. Step 2, double-click Google Suite class. Step 3, double-click Docs. Step 4, one-click on the sales report. Step 5, on the toolbar, click the More Actions button, or right-click and then choose Rename. I'm sorry, not rename, Make a Copy, sorry. Make a copy. And you'll notice a file that says Copy of Sales Report. Now we're going to rename. Step 7, click the Copy of Sales Report file if you need to. On the toolbar, click the 3 dots as step 8. Now we go to rename, which is step 9. And we want to name this file Sales RPT 2021. And then we click OK. So in other words, maybe that other file was for last year. We want to base the current year on it. So we can just make a copy of that file. It's a lot faster and easier. Way freshness. Step 12 says try steps 4 through 11 to make a copy of the India tips file and rename it Africa tips. So I click one time on India tips, go to the three dots, make a copy. In a moment it says copy of India tips. I can click on it, go to the three dots, go to rename, and I can name it Africa tips. And then click OK. So once again, it made a copy of an exact other file. So once again, we need to submit these to the Canvas course, and they're going to be added actually to the creating folders and adding files exercise also. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to click resubmit assignment. I'm going to click add another file, or actually no file chosen it says. So I'm going to actually click choose file. But before doing that, I do need to download those two other files first to my system. So I'm going to do that just a moment here. Hold on. I'm going to have you download those two files. So I'm going to click here. Or do I just have you do a screenshot? Just make sure. Oh, screenshots. So in this case, I just need another screenshot of this. So because it shows the Africa tips and it shows that. So we're going to do a screenshot again. So that's the print screen command. I'm going to reopen that Word file that I had. So in fact, you didn't have to submit it to Canvas yet. Probably would have been the better way to have done it, but my mistake. I'm going to reopen my file that I just had opened. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom where I want to paste it. So I click here, press enter, go ahead and paste. And it shows me, your teacher, what I know I need to look for. I'm going to save my changes, go back to Google here in order to get my steps here. And I just want to make sure, I'm just looking ahead a little bit. So yeah, I can now submit that to Canvas. So I had a small mistake there that I forgot you were going to do that later. So I've updated the Word file to have the final screenshot. Let me close it. Now I'm just going to re-choose the file by clicking Choose File. I can click my Google Drive. I can click Open, that Google Drive Creating Files file, and click Submit Assignment. You can also add things from your Google Drive. It's not as easy as you think. So for example, if I click here, see it's not configured. I want to try to get a way to make that work. So hopefully I'll be able to get that work someday, but at the moment it doesn't work now. So I'm going to submit the assignment and good to go. So I'll try to clean the instructions on that a little bit. I do apologize that they're not perfect in here. And I was also just trying to read ahead a little bit of what I thought I needed to have you do. You could work in the same file. You just didn't have to submit it to Canvas until this final step here. So basically speaking, you add that screenshot to the other file. So sharing files and folders from Drive. The advantage of storing files in Google Drive is the ability to share files and folders. Sharing means giving somebody access to it. When you're giving somebody access to a file, there's 3 levels of access. Edit privilege, which means they can do anything. Comment privilege, which means they could if it's a document, they can make small changes, but you have to accept them. Spreadsheets and stuff, they just simply add in comments, or view only. When it comes to a folder, there's only 2 levels of access, editor or viewer. So more often than not, if you're erring to the side of caution, start people as viewers. At minimum, a commenter, but don't let people edit if you don't want them to. Okay? And you can share directly to somebody via email or a link. When sharing with an email, the recipient receives an email message inviting them to look at it and take a peek at whatever it may be. Or a link is something you put on maybe a website, a flyer, a business card, whatever it may be. Okay? So we're going to share your Google Suite class folder to me. So I'm going to have you share it to my non-work email address, the one I'm using with the course here. So we're going to do Grow Your Skills 1.12, share your Google Suite class folder. If necessary, log into Drive and make sure you're in My Drive. So I'm going to click My Drive on the left. Step 2 says click on the Google Suite class folder. That's one click. On the toolbar, click the Share button or right-click, and you can choose Share. In the box that appears, you're going to type in my email address, which is amiller, B-A-S, classes@gmail.com, and it's in those instructions there. And if it suggests it, you can click it. Now, normally it's a good idea that you notify people. It's not a good idea to turn that off. But before doing that, here where it says editor, this is the important part. It's choosing the access level. This is step 6. Click here on editor and choose viewer. Okay. It says click in the message box and type I am sharing the Google Class folder. I'll put in the word suite, even though it doesn't matter. And you'll put your own real name here, obviously. And then all you have to do is click send. So that's other evidence that I know that you've actually done all the work anyways, because I could go look in the folder. I just won't see the screenshots, but I would be able to see it anyways. I just wanted people to have an experience of uploading things to Canvas, things of that nature. But notice the head on the folder means that it's now shared. So that we're getting near the tail end here, where we're on the last basic area of Drive. You know enough about it now to be able to kind of add things to it and organize and even create a couple of small things. So we have all the basic sentiments that we need. Now, what if you're stuck a little bit? Help and training. Google Drive offers a good help menu as well as training. You can access the help and training by clicking the support button near the top of the screen. So I'm going to have you do that real quick. Make sure you're in your Google Drive. It doesn't matter what folder. Click the support button, which is this question mark. See how they have training and help? Click help. And in the search box here, type use Google. Oh, it's even suggested use Google Drive files offline. So I'm going to click it. And this gives you information. What's really cool is it gives you information if you're on a computer, your Android, or your iPhone. And it tells you you have to turn on offline access. This is really magical that you can still edit a file even if you've lost connection. And when it reconnects, it will synchronize automatically. So it gives you lots of help is built right into the system. You can close the help menu here. I don't have you do it in the instructions, but I'm going to do it here now just as a demonstration. If you click support and you go to training, it opens on another tab, a whole things about Drive Basics, cheat sheets, productivity Drive things. These are all for Drive. Switching to Drive from OneDrive, getting started with Drive, shared drives, which we don't really have, cheat sheets. So here's a Drive cheat sheet. We'll take a look at it. Isn't this really cool? A lot of the stuff I was trying to show you. So they have their own training, they have their own help, they have all this great stuff for you built right into their system. And the final thing that's mentioned in this handout that I'm not going to have you do unless you really want to do it yourself, because I've already done it on this machine. I can't do it on my machine again, but there is an option to install the Google Backup and Sync. You can actually install it to your computer if you choose to do it, and you can use the Computer File Explorer, Windows, or Mac to organize those files. So it acts like it's part of a storage system built into your regular computer. Just as a quick demonstration of it, if I click my yellow folder here at the bottom, you'll notice I have something on the left that says Google Drive File Stream. I have to use File Stream because I'm using my work account that I'm synchronized with. You'd be using Backup and Sync if you were using your own personal Gmail. But what this means is if I double or click this one time, this is my drive for my work account. Here's all my folders I have in my work account. I could manage the files from here. I could delete them, I could save to this area, I could copy one file from here as if it's my regular computer and I feel like I'm on my regular computer. So there's many of really good, awesome advantages to install it. If you need help with that, feel free to email me at my regular email, alfredmiller@berkeley.net, and I'm happy to help you through it. We can walk through it together through Zoom, whatever you need to do. But since I've already done it on this computer and every computer in my home, I can't really do it again very easily. So I hope this video helps you understand about Google Drive or helps you review what we covered in class. And we'll be doing this again for Google Docs real soon and all that kind of stuff. So take care.